You're on India Today podcasts and you are in the sledging room. All right, we are recording even as the 41st match of the 2023 World Cup is being played out between Afghanistan and South Africa. Well, the final semi-final slot, right? Yeah. Technically still up for grabs, but look, guys, let's be clear. It's India versus New Zealand on the 15th of November at the Wankhede Stadium, and it's South Africa versus Australia on the 16th of November at the Eden Gardens in Kolkata. Of course, the last semi-final berth was up for grabs. Afghanistan and Pakistan still really theoretically in there, but in all fairness, Afghanistan would have needed to beat South Africa by 438 runs. Doesn't seem to be happening, right? It's Afghanistan 40-odd for 2. Even as I speak, in Pakistan, they also need an improbable victory against England. Admittedly, England have been really bad, but Pakistan will need to beat them by 287 runs. Or if Pakistan are chasing, they need to chase whatever they need. The target is in 2.3 overs.
Yes. 2.3 overs.
That's that then for Pakistan. I mean, for all facts and purposes, Saurabh, Akshay, it seems like the semi-final berth is slotted, is decided, right? India, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand. And I mean, I could still look like a fool after Saturday. But that is not going to happen. Yeah. Virendra Sehwag has already bid Pakistan goodbye.
Raj, as in, people prayed for rain in Pakistan. As in, they have let themselves down to come to this level. As in, rain dances were held in TV studios and all that, it seems. But unfortunately, it rained in the wrong place. Yeah. It rained even in Noida. And
in Delhi NCR, by the way, exactly. that has brought the pollution levels come as in superb AQI levels as of now. It's a lovely day, Saurabh.
Yeah, absolutely. So we were stuck in a little bit of traffic and
we're also celebrating Diwali in the office. Yes, it's really festive. Everybody you can look at Saurabh. Why are you wearing black?
I just got this kurta. I wore it. I came to office.
And, we have our camera guy and our sound engineer who decked up in really colorful clothing up. I don't know, Akshay and I, the odd people out of this equation, but okay. I'm not supposed to read this as anything, is it? The black color?
It's not.
Okay. You're like the black caps. Are you celebrating New Zealand? Are you celebrating?
Yeah, I mean, yes.
That's what I meant.
Oh, if you win that, let us come to that. I mean, the 4th spot, the team which played better cricket deserved that. Pakistan were never in that reckoning. Apart from some an innings from Fakhar Zaman, that innings against New Zealand, and a couple of matches against Netherlands and Sri Lanka, what have Pakistan done in this tournament to hope for a semi-final berth? I mean, what is this Kudrat ka Nizam? This Kudrat ka Nizam comes into play only if you are performing. For every other team, so if you go to that Pakistani logic, Kudrat ka Nizam, barish ho jayegi, ye ho jayega. Come on, that's not going to work. Yeah. Your team is absolutely useless. You can't win matches.
But it's true, Pakistan did not deserve to be in the semis. I mean, theoretically, yes, you'd still say there is a chance, but that's not going to happen. For Pakistan to beat England by 287 runs, they need to get about 350, 360. Yeah. Right? And that is not going to be easy doing that against this England lineup, which is, by the way, also determined to ensure that they're the Champions Trophy, which has just come off a victory against the Netherlands. I admittedly, again, the Netherlands not the most powerful team in the tournament, but still they'd be looking to finish on a high because England would want to. Rob Key, by the way, has already arrived, or maybe he's about to land in India, so they'd want to put up a good show. But Saurabh mentioned Pakistan. I have been saying this for the longest time. Pakistan is not a good enough it's not a good enough team across formats, by the way. Even that final in the T20 World Cup last year, it was a fluke. They were lucky that South Africa was shocked at that stage. They did not deserve, Pakistan did not even deserve to come through to the semi-finals. Even here, a lot of former Pakistan cricketers will also tell you that, look, even if they had qualified for the semi-finals, you couldn't overlook glaring mistakes in that side. Shaheen Afridi and Haris Rauf not doing enough with the new ball. Hassan Ali not doing enough. Yeah. Shaheen Afridi, by the way, didn't really produce those wickets in the power play like the way the Indian bowlers did or the South African bowlers did. Babar Azam batted strangely. When you're talking of the net run rate, it is a factor. Unlike India, you're winning everything. India have been winning everything. They really blew the net run rate out of proportion completely. Even then, they have the best NRR. Yeah. Even New Zealand, they had their issues. So in this context, like we discussed in the last episode, Afghanistan were probably the most deserving team.
Yeah. Yes.
It's just that 2 hours of madness, that Ben Maxwell gem. Yeah. I saw some tweets on social media, by the way, talking about how Afghanistan can be very proud of this campaign. Sure, they'll be proud. But I think this team is so proud, and rightly so, that they'd also be a little disappointed at not being able to make the semis.
If you had seen what Afghanistan captain Hashmatullah Shahidi spoke on Thursday before their match against South Africa, he said, yes, we are proud of what we have achieved and all that. But as a captain, I expected more from this team. If that is going to be your mindset, it's going to be holding you in a good stead. Yeah. For example, compare Afghanistan and Pakistan here. Before the tournament began, there were a lot of interviews from players like Imam Ulaq, from Hassan Ali and all that, saying
even from Babar Azam.
Yes, as in, to an extent, they were carried away by that number one ranking in ODI cricket. They did not play the strongest of oppositions during the last 1 or 2 years. They couldn't play at home. There were so many issues, but they were ranked number one. They were carried away by it. And then they had this false sense of superiority. If you've seen what Imam Ulaq said, he actually said before the tournament that opposition teams are, scared of our ODI team. And when they came to the World Cup, we all saw what happened. 2 good wins and then a series of losses. And then you couldn't close out that South Africa game. And if you're relying on rain to save you, it's not going to happen all the time. And barring 2011, barring 2011 in the recent past context I'm talking about, when have we seen a Pakistan side really dominate ODI cricket in the World Cup?
No, they haven't. In fact, this is what I was looking at. I remember 2007 was a disaster for both India and Pakistan. Getting knocked out on the group stages. There was no India-Pakistan again because they were in different groups. 2011, India world champions. Pakistan reached the semi-finals. 15, again, Pakistan, what did they do? 2019, again, it was the same scenario, by the way.
Yes.
New Zealand edged Pakistan to reach the semi-finals. And Pakistan again found wanting. By the way, even with New Zealand, you'll now say, look, they've reached 4 consecutive World Cup semi-finals. Even they have issues. It's just that they have been able to be a little more consistent than Pakistan.
Yeah.
And even in the 2019 World Cup, we spoke about how they fought between New Zealand and Pakistan. They were up grappling with that net run rate. And now again in 2023. Who did they defeat Pakistan? Now, if you look at it that way, who did they defeat? They got off to a winning start against Sri Lanka. Then they went on to defeat who? Who was that again? Netherlands.
They got on to a winning start against Netherlands.
And even then, it was a bit of a scare that they survived.
Said that we missed an opportunity.
That was an opportunity that we missed. And then against Sri Lanka, you conveniently forgot the fact that your bowlers also conceded 344.
Yes.
You were so jubilant with that celebration that you forgot the fact that your bowlers against an understrength New Zealand batting team, you conceded 344. And then you were completely exposed by India.
And look at that Sri Lankan team against other teams. 55, 110.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you really have to ask those probing questions. And moreover, Pakistan haven't been able to endear themselves to this, to fans in this country. It started with Zaka Ashur's statement, right? What was that from the PCB chief? I'm sorry. As journalists, we have to ask these questions. Your team is going to India to play the World Cup. They were so well looked after. There was a lot of hospitality. And this is what you say.
And
what did he say?
Conflict of interest clauses climbing.
That was those internal PCB issues, which is a joke, by the way. The PCB is, the way it's handled, it's a joke. And then Mickey Arthur saying, certain songs are not played, so we can't do well. Wasim Akram lashed out at him, rightly so.
And the ball controversy.
I mean, some of the former cricketers talking like, come on, you're serious experts. Own it up, and that you made mistakes and rectify. So that's why you haven't been able to endear yourselves to the cricketing arena here as well. Let's look at the Indian cricket team. They look so happy. It's those fielding drills, those medals, everything has just looked so perfectly synchronized for this Indian team. Everything is falling into place. Same with South Africa. They have again been wonderful. There's been a wonderful camaraderie.
And Australia is building up.
This is looking dangerous now. And New Zealand. But you know what? I am now far more excited about an India-New Zealand. India-Pakistan, again, that would have been one-sided. They would have. Now, India-New Zealand has some context.
Yeah.
2019.
It has a lot of context.
Would Dhoni be at the Wankhede to watch that game?
We all will want him to be there and the Indian team beating New Zealand to reach the finals.
Yeah.
Won't we? I mean, MS Dhoni played his last game. Later, he came out and said, in my mind, I had decided that this is the last time I have worn an Indian jersey. India losing a semi-final by barest of margin due to the run-out. MS Dhoni got run out. Jadeja played a heroic knock and a 2-day semi-final we can't get it out of our head, right? So this is the time. I mean, 15th of November, Wankhede Stadium. What better than Wankhede? I mean, you won your second World Cup trophy. Dhoni hit that six. Then now you have to win the game.
4 years ago, I can still remember. I think you were writing the match report for India We were sitting around.
I was writing two different match
reports. Yes,
and we couldn't. As fans of the sport, we are also emotional, but we had to control the emotions that day and then put the output out, right?
No, I will tell you, this is one of the very few times ever since I started covering sports where I went numb. Yeah. And that was one of those moments. I can barely count 5 in a career of 15 or 16 years, and that was one. We were all so heartbroken. I remember we planned to order pizza after work that night, and we didn't do it. Yeah. I think most of us skipped dinner. We were all so heartbroken. And I think back of that night, and now you have that opportunity here. Not only India, New Zealand. If Australia come to that final, 20 years after that crushing defeat, there is this other opportunity.
I know we have a game against Netherlands on Sunday. Yeah. But do you think India is better prepared to take on New Zealand in a knockout match this time?
It's always a tricky question, because I know I said, look, you can't take this run out of. You can't talk it off. It's been a wonderful run. Yeah. But now it's really up to these last 2 nights. Yeah. The Netherlands, with all due respect to the Netherlands, I think India are going to breeze past them on Diwali. Hopefully Virat Kohli gets to number 50 in Bangalore. He's a local boy there, isn't he? But yes, it's going to be, you're going to have to start afresh at those knockouts. You have got to forget whatever happened in those 9 games. New Zealand will also forget. Now you're on an even keel. Yeah. Now you're going to say, okay, it doesn't matter whether I finish first or fourth, second or third. You both teams have equal opportunities.
It's not IPL where you get the extra.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And exactly. I don't want that in a World Cup like tournament.
You should not get it. Yeah.
Shouldn't. That's how you are world champions. I mean, look at New Zealand and England. They were not the best teams in 2019.
Yes.
England was third in the points table.
New Zealand sneaked through.
And they have done that again. But much better deserve. They deserve it a lot more than Pakistan.
Definitely.
But I'm just, I don't know. I mean, it's the Wankhede ball moves under lights, swing.
We have seen what happens in Wankhede. You want to bat first. I will be hoping that India bat first. It does not matter how India have played in this entire World Cup. It does not.
Whoever wins the toss will bat first.
Yeah. I mean, you are playing a knockout game. 50 minutes of bad cricket and you are gone. The World Cup dream is over. So let's hold. Last time when we were talking about an India semi-final in T20 World Cup, we were all saying that we will go and beat England, and what happened we all remember. So let's not get carried away by what India has done in this World Cup. Great, very good. Now it's time for 2 good matches, good performances, and you'll have the cup.
But who are the integral players here? Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, KL Rahul were part of that 2019 team. Jasprit Bumrah was. Yeah. Mohammad Shami did not play the semi-final. Kuldeep Yadav, I think he was also part of that side. And Kane Williamson was the captain who orchestrated that dramatic partnership, by the way. There was this, who was that? Ross Taylor. They stitched up that nice partnership. And then India lost the
nice watching them, but
it was a great partnership under pressure against a very, very good.
And by the way, if you see in the last 2-3 World Cups, we have lost like 3 games, and in 3 games, either none of Virat Kohli or Rohit Sharma have performed. Yes. So one of them would have to step up in this.
For me too, Rohit Sharma, hands down.
It's a high pressure game.
Yes, 45 or 40 against New Zealand in Dharamsala in the last match. Yeah. He set the tone. And people are genuinely scared. On Wednesday, Trent Bolt was asked that question on Thursday whether he's aware of how India have approached the power play overs. And he said, yes, we will have our plans. But I think Rohit Sharma is the plan breaker at this World Cup. And I think if he steps up, we have that semi-final covered.
You also got to factor in the crowd. Obviously, you've had a lot of support. Even at the SCG in 2015, I remember Umesh Yadav struck early to dismiss David Warner. Yes. And I remember that sound, ambience, there was that you could reverberate. That noise reverberated across the SCG. And for a moment you could be forgiven for thinking you're playing in India. Yeah. Right? Sydney anyway has a huge Indian fan base. 4 years later again, a lot of Indian support. They were quiet by the time the semi-final. Ian Smith's voice was louder than anything that you could hear from the stands. At the Wankhede it'll be different.
You've covered a final.
That final too.
Yes.
It was a gladiator zone, by the way. You could hear 40,000 people just wanting the team to win. When Sachin Tendulkar, Virendra Sehwag got out early, there was pin drop silence. There were a few Sri Lankan supporters who cheered, and they almost had to immediately retreat to the seats because they knew that, it was kind of embarrassing perhaps to see that, look, nobody else is cheering. And obviously you could give it to the Sri Lankan fans for supporting the team, but it's going to be the same
Definitely
on the 15th.
But I have
Will New
one
Zealand have as
counterpoint.
many
I have
supporters?
one counterpoint for that. Whether New Zealand have so many supporters or not, I think among the 4 teams in the semi-final, Australia with their champion mentality are a different beast. But New Zealand are better equipped to face this situation, hostile situation. They won't let it affect them, is what I think under Kane Williamson.
But Kane Williamson, since you brought him, he looked a little out of sorts. I mean, obviously he's been injured. He came back. Then he had an injury against Bangladesh, had to miss quite a few games. Then he comes back for the game against Pakistan, 95. Again, injures himself. Was it a game against Pakistan where he scored 95? He had to sit out.
Yes,
And
Bangladesh,
the
he got
next
injured.
game, exactly.
The throw.
Yeah, but the 95 against Pakistan, and then after those 9 wickets, Kane Williamson's body language in the field was a little, from 128 for 9, Sri Lanka went on to score 171.
Definitely.
Even with the bat, when you knew that you wanted to finish the game as early as
Even when
possible.
Fakhar Zaman was going big, he looked a little...
Kane Williamson looked a little disoriented. In both those games, out of ideas. And even with the bat, yesterday, Devin Conway, Rachin Ravindra got New Zealand off to a flyer.
Yeah.
And then in comes Kane Williamson. He did hit 2 boundaries, but 14 or 15 balls. At a time, again, when you wanted to finish the game as early as possible. Of course, you had Daryl Mitchell and Glenn Mitchell down the order to take care of that. But it was a little, I don't know, Kane Williamson, the captain.
Yeah, I mean, Kane Williamson of 2019 World Cup was a different beast as a captain also. He is one of those leaders who took SRH to an IPL final single-handedly, performing with his bat and with his captaincy. New Zealand in 2019 World Cup. In this World Cup, yes, he has been injured. He has not played those games. But whichever games he has played, New Zealand have not looked that team. I mean, Tom Latham, sorry to say that, but Tom Latham has looked a better captain than Kane Williamson in this World Cup.
Exactly. Tom Latham has looked more composed as a leader. It just seemed like they have rallied around that sort of cricket.
Yes.
Because Kane Williamson also, I think that's a problem in the batting lineup, in the top 4 at least. You have 2 really good openers. One of them is the leading run scorer currently. Could be overtaken by either de Kock or Kohli in the coming few days. But Kane Williamson sort of stalls that lineup, to be honest, because you had Devon Conway, Will Young, then you had Ravindra at number 3, where he got most of his runs in this tournament, and then you had someone like Daryl Mitchell coming in at number 4. Now,
Chapman, Glenn Phillips.
Exactly, they had some superb cricketers down the order. Now you move Tom Latham back down, and Kane Williamson at number 3. Somehow, if you look at the top 3 for the other 3 teams, Shubman, Rohit and Kohli in superb form. Shubman
Getting there.
I mean, you wouldn't say he's out of form. He's just been unlucky to miss out on a few. Travis had David Warner. Now you have Mitchell Marsh, who's also scored some runs. For South Africa, obviously, they've been phenomenal. Temba Bavuma is the only guy who's missed out on more occasions than one. Quinton de Kock, and then you have a crazy batting lineup, right? Rassie van der Dussen and the lot, Klaassen, Miller, Aiden Markram, Marco Jansen at number 7 is a terrific option. You look at the New Zealand lineup now. After those 2 openers, before you get to the Mitchells and the Chapmans, you have Kane Williamson and Tom Latham. This sort of could be a weakness.
Definitely. See, Raj, at the end of the day, we are discussing so much about all this. If India are to be beaten, it will be only by India if they do mistakes. I don't think anyone else in this tournament have the firepower to outclass India if India are at their best.
New Zealand's bowling lineup will be pepped up because they have been very ordinary.
I am afraid
the arrival of Tim Southee into the
I am afraid of Trent Bolt. No Tim Southee, no Mitchell Santner, no Rachin Ravindra.
I think Matt Henry blow was a bigger blow. I think Indian batting order is far too powerful for this year.
Aren't you guys also worried about Lockie Ferguson coming back now? Because now that lineup, that is that kind of bowling lineup. You're looking at... By the way, there's also a certain Kylie Jamieson waiting. He hasn't played in India yet. That height. I wouldn't be surprised if they unleash him in Mumbai.
They can. I mean... We'll have to look at that, but I'm really afraid of Trent Bolt, what he's capable of doing.
I just look at the end of the day, I just hope, all punditry aside, all expertise aside, win toss, bat first.
Yes.
And I hope Rohit Sharma is the one. The other one, by the way, South Africa, Australia, that's also going to be another classic. We'll, of course, assess that on Wednesday because that is going to be quite a clash. Wednesday, by the way, we will be looking at the India-New Zealand semi-final. And
Yes, on Thursday.
the
we have-
Thursday game is going to be another classic. South Africa versus Australia. We all remember the history that these two teams share in the World Cups. 1999, Steve Waugh's catch was dropped, and then that classic semi-final. I'm afraid that's all the time that we have for now. This is the build-up to the business, literal business end of the World Cup. The a stage where all our we can literally feel our goosebumps. The tensions are high, and you know that whatever happens over the next 2 days, the last two games is all that matters. India versus New Zealand, for all facts and purposes. I know Pakistan are still in the fray, but very, very improbable. Very improbable. And then you have South Africa versus Australia at the Eden Garden. South Africa are playing their last league game of the tournament against Afghanistan. And of course, tomorrow, Australia take on Bangladesh in the first game of a doubleheader on Saturday, followed by Pakistan, where they need to beat England, like I said, by an improbable margin. And then India take on the Netherlands on Diwali. The only thing to look forward to is, can they break their 20-year-old record for the most successive wins in a World Cup edition, and can Virat Kohli get to number 50? Thank you so much for joining us. Do rate us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you consuming the Sledging Room on. Of course, do leave your comments on YouTube and follow us, subscribe to this YouTube channel so that we can get you the meatiest and the best of the cricketing world. Thank you. And wish you a very, very happy Diwali. You are on India Today Podcasts, and you are in the Sledging Room.